Peep the Trump wants you to like and subscribe, or he will build a wall around your house. Told my son to hang up his clothes. You all LMFAO, my kids made a roasting book. Roasting book rules. 1 to 6. Rule number 1. Don't roast somebody if you are ugly. Example. Boy, your hairline looked like a rainbow. That's a no-no if you don't have a hairline. This is a picture of the day I discovered Santa was not real in 2004. My uncle had to take the mask off, or I wouldn't stop crying. Give me a credit, that mask was terrifying. 15 minutes later they are still looking for it. Told my kids I was building garden beds. I just found out that the day my son said it was costume day, what he meant was picture day. Proof. The 6-year-old flatly refused to believe that we used to navigate using maps made out of paper. You mean like pirates? I was mowing the grass today and my wife texts me and says I'm going to lay on the couch and maybe get a quick nap. I came in to see my kids treating her like a beanbag chair. When I was like 9 I thought juice would turn into alcohol if you left it out long enough, and I wanted to try it out, so I left a cup of grape juice sitting under my bed for about a month or so. When I was about to drink it, I noticed the mold, but I just assumed that was part of the process. After I drank it, I threw up in the living room, but I didn't want to tell my mom I tried to make alcohol, so I told her I drank the dish soap because it looked good. I'm still not sure if she bought it or not. I once saw my dad's boxes and my mom's bras. My mom and dad said go away. My daughter put a package of ramen in her school lunchbox yesterday. When I was about 8 I wanted to convince this kid at my Hebrew school that I was smart, so I told him I could build a nuclear bomb. He asked if I could build one for him, and I replied with first I have to wait until the materials come to my house, and I kept that up for like 3 years before he caught on LMAO. A class of kindergartners accidentally drank tequila during snack time at a Michigan school. Rule 2 cents. When you are roasting, make sure what you are saying makes sense or matches that person's look. Don't say, boy you look like a rum. No, I'll roast you myself. Rule number 3. Level matching. Don't roast on somebody that has the ability to put people on hush mode. Warning. Roast on your level. Don't get your feeling hurt. If you know you only have a few jokes or they are not that funny, don't roast or try to roast the funniest person. Rule number 4. Copying. Don't say the same thing that the other person already said. You're making yourself get roasted more than before. If you do that, your best bet is to walk away. If you do that. Rule number 5. Excuses. Don't make excuses about why you got roasted later, or roast on that person later behind their back. That boy breath stink. Also don't get mad and want to fight. Roasting is just a fun game, but also can be taken too far. So don't. I put these ears on her and said, are you a bunny? So then she ran to get a pair of pants for me to put on her head so that she could be a bunny. Please read to One Direction fans. Hi, my name is. I'm 10 years old. I know almost everyone would say they are your biggest fans and if them might be, but quite a lot of people won't. For instance, they might not have your albums or products. But don't get me wrong lol, I only have one of your albums and I think it is great. I'm just saying I'm not going to say I'm your biggest fan, because I'm not, but I'm a fan. My brother playing hide and seek about 8 years ago. In first grade, me and others were just existing at lunch when one of them just randomly blurted out, you know my grandma killed Hitler in World War II. I thought that was cool and believed it until I got common sense and realized he lied. Then I learned who killed Hitler. My two lovely, brilliant, bright sons. One playing a game on the iPad, the other chewing on the remote control. One of my saved works from elementary school. When I'm an adult I will live in my own house. I will pass man's biggest test, the driving test. In my spare time I will spend time with my wife and kids and go hunting, fishing and sing on ATV trails. I will get a flat screen TV and invite my buddies over on Sundays. During the time I'm in college I will work at a fast food restaurant. This was said to me with less bizarreness. I don't think this is a word. Small kid maybe 5 or 6. If I water your arm, would it regrow? Me. Bursts out laughing. All while the father is looking at me with a deer in the headlights expression. Oh, the innocent nature of kids. Wish I could experience the world like that. I didn't know the meaning of the phrase, is that a banana in your pocket, or are you happy to see me? I thought it was just a funny thing to say, because having a banana in your pocket is funny to a 7-year-old. Well, one day, my dad had a bunch of stuff in his pocket which made a bilge, and I said, "Hey dad, is that a banana in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?" All of the surrounding adults' faces dropped, and after my mom explained it to me, I didn't make eye contact with my dad for a good 2 weeks. I don't like the square peas. Me. The orange ones. Country Harvest. Snap Frozen. Carrot. Peas and corn. Before and after. My toddler is so obsessed with sump pumps that for his birthday he gathered my whole extended family into my dirty Ace storage closet to stare at it for 30 minutes. Happy birthday. Little me running away from Roger Rabbit. Context. A review on a Roblox scam app by a kid player. What the fork? Fake. Don't download this stupid game, this is such a waste of time. I earned 100,000 coins, and when I redeem the coins I earned, it will go to a website which is Solag, and then when you fill up the required form of Roblox ID, then once you click the withdraw button it says that my coins is not enough, even the maximum number of coins earned is 100,000, then the minimum is 40,000. Like what the fork? I even rated all your apps for 5-star and write 500 words for nonsense. Scam. Kid's favorite cookie. What is your favorite cookie? Chocolate chip cookie. Bartenders when they see someone named Bart. One time my older brother brought his friend over after school. His name was Bart. I asked him if it was short for Bartholomew or bartender. Man, I was a dumb kid. I was talking to this little girl at work and I asked her if her stepmom delivered her baby brother yet, and she said yeah, I'm a big sister. Also my mom and my dad don't live together because my daddy doesn't like my mommy. I felt so bad, but OMG she loves to overshare. Tell me kids are ducking stupid without telling me kids are ducking stupid. Boy undergoes surgery after swallowing 22 tiny magnetic balls. One time a friend and I were at the beach, and we decided it would be fun to try and get hurt on the rocks. And we also decided that we were too old, 5 and 6, to tell our parents. So when my friend scraped his knee he walked around with a hand covering his knee, all the while pretending like nothing happened. Come, this is no place to die. I used to work in a preschool. One of the kids drew a dinosaur. These kids snug at tic-tac-toe. In honor of Easter, a drawing I did as a child. We got eggs. We got eggs. Kids across the road drew on our mailboxes. I remember when I was a little kid I picked my nose all the time. When my parents called me out for picking my nose, I decided to continue. Being an idiot, I thought that holding a tissue in front of my face and picking my nose behind it was a foolproof plan. One time when I was around 4 or 5 years old I visited a place where I had never been to with my parents. There were a few stones above ground with names on them, and I asked my parents what they were. They told me that each of the stones have a person inside of them. Young me thought that they meant the stones were houses for tiny people and stomped on one to see what the tiny person inside of the stone looked like. The place was a graveyard and the stones were actually coffins. kids wanting to earn some extra cash. Name, age, contract. If your dog gets lost, you get your money back. If your dog injures somebody or hurts them, it's not our fault. Preschool is $20. That time I had to call poison control because my toddler bit a tube of eczema cream. Arden Royal Fortnite. Little brother opens bottom of cereal box. Psychopaths. Serial killers. Me who disliked skiing fails as a kid because it didn't hurt as much. My son, who is dreadfully suspicious of any food outside the pancakes, cereal, and mac and cheese categories, asked me if he could try a mealworm. I was mixing freeze-dried ones into my bird food. I shrugged and gave him one. Then he asked for another, and then 3 more. Yummy. I mean, I do have trouble getting protein into him. So, yay. My 6th grader. Don't know what's worse, the handwriting or the fact that she asked herself for a bookmark she got for free. If found, please return to locker 2171 on gym locker 168. If done, thanks. The way I tried to spell elite when I was a kid. Elite. My son decided to take my tablet outside yesterday. It rained all night. Made this as a kid and I can say this still holds up. Diary entries from 8-year-old me in the year 2002. Quick update: my little brother keeps screaming I didn't know when I bring up the fact that he erased half the Switch. As if the fact that he didn't know to not take out the MSD card without turning it off first makes him innocent. My 10-year-old reading a book to his younger brother. 8-year-old, what's a biceps? 10-year-old, it probably means pens. First time I rode a bike, I demanded to wear safety goggles. When I was like 7 or 8, I went to this girl's house to play after school and she pulled out this bottle and was like, try this candy. It looked like candy and I love candy, so I was 100% down as she poured the candy into my hand and I popped them into my mouth. She laughed really hard and I realized they were fish tank rocks. I stared at her with them in my mouth until she stopped laughing, and then I straight up swallowed them to prove either my stupidity or dominance. Luke, I loved Rocky 3. As a kid in the 4th grade, I remember watching it all weekend, over and over to work out and motivate myself to fight back against a school bully. I won that fight too, but not because of my boxing skills. I shanked him up with a pencil. Schools were more tolerant in those days and I never had a problem with any bullies after that at Brooklyn Elementary. My granddad would tell me that the button/switches to turn on the interior lights in his car were actually buttons for ejector seats. I would be scared to go anywhere near them in case I accidentally yeeted myself out of his Ford Focus. He was a funny dude. As a kid I had a strangulated hernia, which left me with one tentacle. My dad told me if I ever had kids they would be all boys or all girls cause each tentacle is for each sex. Believed it for years. As a kid my whole extended family would go camping, and my great-grandfather would bring a big Ace salt shaker for every kid. When we arrived he would pass them out to each of us and tell us, if you get salt on a squirrel's tail it throws off the squirrel's balance and he can't climb the trees anymore. That's how you can catch one and keep it for a pet. Cue all of us running around chasing squirrels with salt shakers trying to catch one of the little duckers for hours, while the adults got to sit around drinking uninterrupted. Never got my pet squirrel. I could not understand how all the death scenes in war movies seemed so realistic. So, I asked one of my older brothers how they did it. He proceeded to tell me that they empty out state prisons in the area the movie is being made, dress them up, and give them guns, and tell them that if they survive the filming then they get to leave jail after. I was told that at around 7, and I believed it till I was around 10. As a kid I was told by my parents the pens was a type of plant when I asked why it grew when I was showered. That led to me thinking all kids had those, even girls, up until I was 10 to 11. Lol. Growing up and almost all 30 years of my life, I thought that gingerbread was poisonous. Back in elementary school we would make gingerbread houses with icing and stuff. My teacher told us do not eat the gingerbread and icing because it is poisonous and you could get really sick. I was like 7, and being a teacher and someone you should listen to, I believed her. Never ate a gingerbread have in my life nor any of the icing, believing it was poisonous. At 29 years of age my fiance and I were making one, and she started eating hers, and I freaked out. It was then she informed me that the teacher probably said that so she didn't have to have 30 kids hopped up on sugar in her class the rest of the day. Can't believe I was duped that hard and never realized it. My best friend was a girl, and she thought it would be funny to get all the girls I knew in on a prank against me. She told every girl I knew, including my teacher, mom, and sister, to tell me that girls didn't peep if I asked. They all went with it for a couple days. I fell for it. Believed it from 5th grade until 9th grade, when my sister forgot to flush. I went in immediately after her, and there was 4 years of lies just floating there, mocking me for being so stupid and gullible. My friend thought it was hilarious when I confronted her at school the following day. She couldn't believe I hadn't figured it out. She had also almost forgotten about that prank. You all. This made me so mad. I'm from Central Kentucky, and growing up we would always see tons of Ohio license plates on the road. So I asked why that was. My father proceeded to tell me that Ohio had a state law that was basically a curfew. Once Ohio residents leave the state, for any reason, they have a limited amount of time to return. If they don't make it back, they can't re-enter the state. He told me they could return after a long period of time, but I can't remember how long that was, something like months or years. So the Ohio drivers on the road were vagabonds, forever driving the surrounding states until they could go home. He told it so well, and with such conviction, that I believed it until I repeated it to friends in high school and finally realized what a dumbass I was. Well, my grandpa and I went to forest when I was around 12 years old, and one of my cousin came with us too. He was 16 that time, and told me that a creature lives in the woods which has male and female genital organs. When it is nighttime it gets out and ucks whatever living thing he grabs. Of course I didn't believe my cousin, I'm not that dumb, but when my grandpa seconds him, I cried like a little baby to go home. R.I.P. grandpa, you crazy old duck. I have 3 things that were really dumb when I was a kid. 1. My older brother told me that if you put your Pokemon cards in the microwave then they become real. I started a fire doing this and ruined cards that would now be worth a lot of money. 2. My older brother told me that aliens lived in my shoes. I had the ones that would glow up when you walked. I got scared and never wore them again. 3. My older brother told me that if I wrote down a wish on a kite and flew it up high enough, the ink on the kite would disappear and my wish would come true. I spent hours trying to make this happen. On my 5th birthday, my older sister gave me a pack of gum. It was my first time trying gum, and I swallowed it. I told my sister, and she told me that because I swallowed the gum, I would die in 7 years. I was so sad. I never told my mom because I didn't want to make her sad. So I lived the next 7 years of my life awaiting my death. My mom couldn't understand what my problem was on my 12th birthday. I was just sad. Finally, before bed, I told her how much I loved her and that I hoped she would miss me. She said, "What are you talking about?" I told her that I was going to die before she woke up. My sister got yelled at, and my mom assured me I would not die before the morning. So yeah, I thought I was dying for 7 years. As a kid, I thought that girls get pregnant from kissing. Yes, 6-year-old me was very smart. I remember when I was 7, someone had told me, if you add water to your hair it will grow long like a plant. After hearing that, I used to wash my hair every single day for like 3 years, only my hair. I remember saying this to one of my friends later, and he started laughing saying if I was joking, and I was being dead serious. I did have long hair, but it ended up being annoying and bothering. I much prefer short/medium length hair. I asked my mom where babies come from. She told me a policeman goes inside the woman's belly button and just pulls it out. We didn't have air conditioning or central air in my home growing up, so we used box fans a lot. They sit on the floor and aren't all that sturdy, so sometimes they would fall over or get knocked over. At one point my mom told me not to leave them running when they fell over because they would blow up, meaning that the motor would burn out. I assume my child mind, of course, took blow up to mean the same as it does in movies, and imagined a whole house exploding in a massive fireball. I remember one time a fan fell over next to my dad, and he wasn't urgently picking it up. I went into a panic and was yelling at him while he gave me a "what the duck is your problem" look. My mother once said to me when I was about 2 years old, "You have a little Indian in you," by which she meant I have some Native American ancestry. Well, my ace had just seen the Indian in the cupboard, so I thought there was literally a tiny man that lived in my body. Me when I was kid, being told by my sister. My older sister told me that brown cows made chocolate milk, and I believed that for years. She also told me that if you run over the cord of the bike fume cleaner it would electrocute you and you'd die. I think this is why I hate bike fuming. From about 5 to 12 I believed my father had a wooden plate in his head. Whenever anyone said knock on wood he would knock on his head and say it was because he had a wooden plate from when he jumped in an empty pool as a kid. Whenever he went to the doctor, he'd say it was being replaced due to termites.